I'm going to read a few poems from my book, Overtipping the Ferryman, and then some new poems, and then I'll close with another one from Ferryman. February 1865 is the only calendar month on record that didn't have a full moon, if you believe what you read. And that was the genesis of this poem. This is Month Without a Moon. Any night I like, I can rise instead of the moon that has forgotten us, not a thought of our sad lot, and roam the darkened oblongs of the dunes. Once you said the moon was some pale god who turned away his face to cause the tides, and once you said that, I of course believed that you were mad. Now the ghost crab guides me to the edge where land is not land, sea not sea, and all the sky above is one dark dream. This is the month with no full moon. You are its prophet, and I am standing on the seam between belief and what I know is true. I gave you a diamond. It should have been a pearl. It should have been a stone to hang above the world. This is a poem about my daughter, and she doesn't come to my readings because she knows that I read poems about her. This was inspired by a camping trip that we took. This is called Smoke. What is smoke? My daughter asks, beside a campfire I can't quite get to flame. I know it's not a liquid, she says. Is it a gas? Is it a solid? Simple, straightforward, something I should know, I'm sure. I start to say it's what's left when the wood gives up the ghost, but then I think of ash. I always think of ash, how it's something but nothing, what's left when something's gone. There was a woman, then there was ash, her husband and the men she loved scattered on the beach. The wind wouldn't let her stay there where she wanted. My mother, seeding cancer, more ash than paper dangling from her lucky strike. What is it? My daughter says. Nothing, I respond. No, she says. What is smoke? I say, it's what I make instead of fire. Thank you. This next poem is not on the page that I wrote down. This poem contains what I believe to be one of the ugliest words in the English language. And it's really a poem about one's heritage and one's cultural heritage and how it's difficult to escape that cultural heritage. This is called The Things That Mother Said. If Venetian blinds hung crooked or dishes lay piled in the sink, if empty shoes sat strewn around the floor, Mother would say, place looks like a nigger shack. It wasn't, of course. It was our shack. Catholic shack. Pollock shack. Leather strapped to the thigh shack. Bigot shack. Ventriloquist of doom. Her voice still follows me through unkempt rooms, and I have to bite my wooden tongue to silence her in the ground, where satin must sag sloppily now inside her casket shack. This is another poem about my daughter. When she was an infant, she used to wake up before her mother and me, usually on the weekends, and stand up in her crib and yell, "I awake! I awake!" And I thought, it's my duty as a writer to take something that cute and turn it into something just dark and twisted. So I was reading APR, and there was a line that said, Dante, Shakespeare, and other experts on mortality. And I thought, well, what's an expert on, who could be an expert on mortality? So that's the title of the poem, Experts on Mortality. She makes her first announcement, I awake, then springs out of her crib just like a toad. Something in the trees, some movement, some violence makes it hard to forget today. The chase is on. Daddy Death rumbles down the stairs right behind his little skeleton in waiting. Out the door and into the wind, she's gone. But no, she's there behind the hemlocks, giggling under branches that creak and groan like everything alive. She points up in the air, says, "Look, look," and there it is, at the end of her invisible string, the only thing she has, all that he can give her, a sky blue kite in a kite blue sky. This is a villanelle. Everything makes music when it burns. Everything makes music when it burns. Destruction is the rougher side of art where char and embers harmonize in turns. Until you live your life within these terms, your sadness may conceal the beauty part, that everything makes music when it burns. The aria within our body churns with smoke and blackened ruins of our hearts, where char and embers harmonize in turns. We're fuel, and when we carbonize, it forms etudes and scales and passion's complex charts. Everything makes music when it burns. A skilled musician finds he can discern a symphony where conflagrations start, where char and embers harmonize in turns, and even when it's all collapsed, and worms make homes inside the burned out vital parts, still everything makes music when it burns. The char and embers harmonize in turns. Thank you. I teach part-time at Rowan University in Glassboro, and it is growing. The campus is growing, like the Winchester Mystery House out in California. It seems like every time you drive through the town, there's a new building cropping up. And I was sitting in a Barnes & Noble on campus, and there was a pile driver. Boom, boom, boom. My coffee was shaking like the water in Jurassic Park. And I was inspired to write this poem. In the cafe at the end of the world. The surface of my latte trembles as if it wants to scream, something terrible is coming. And of course, it is. That richtering underfoot is the wrecking ball smashing one more childhood into dust. It's the emanations from an IED someone's favorite uncle just triggered by the side of the road. It's the wall of water rushing toward the sunken city where not even dogs or chickens are safe up on the roofs. It's the bombast of thunder that roars in the dark, saying, "Fear, yes, fear. The next one will be closer still." It's the footsteps of the giant father in your dreams, burst from your unconscious and coming down the hall. We huddle under tables for two, pray to the gods of fair trade, make our last confessions to baristas too lost in the ecstasy of macchiato to absolve even themselves. I hold my paper cup like a chalice, begging its runic ripples to help me understand. But the best it can do is preach in Portuguese about what happens when the mountain finally decides to come down. I had a poetry professor at the University of Delaware that introduced me to this particular theory about sonnets. This is called Between the Making and the Ruining, for Michael Rewat. Someone once told me about sonnets, how they're connected to the breath, an Italian like the steady rise and fall, inhale, exhale of Sophia Loren's bosom, and the less subtle English like blowing up a balloon to burst it at the end. But here, near the middle of this American sonnet, where is our breath? Caught inside our throats, too tight to come or go, like arteries or freeways not built for so much volume, or infinite, all prairies and salt flats, one eternal emptying of the lungs, everywhere, everywhere. This is what happens, see? You start with this and end up with that. This isn't about you or me or the weird alchemy of words that can bind us, is it? And here it is so late and too long already, and I haven't even mentioned love. How things like it come apart so easily. Thank you. This is probably the oldest poem in this particular book. Excuse me. More life. Whatever fire burns us first, they teach us the word no. But on our own, we learn the sweet word more. We cuddle with excess, shun moderation, its skeletal cousin, the scold. Food comes first and lasts the longest, even when lust crashes through like a lineman. More cake, more kisses, more chocolate, more you. In my time, I have wanted more days to lie in the sand beside the warm Carolina Sea. I've ordered one more drink when one more was the last I should have. Some years I have wanted more women than any sane man's life could hold. And often, when a sun like this one slips down russet under a dark horizon, I pray more time, the biggest no of all. More. Say the word, a kiss into the air, a gesture of farewell. Oh life, oh now, oh every mortal gift. More, we say, oh more. Thank you. These are some newer poems. This is loosely a Philadelphia poem, I guess. This is going to appear in Rattle in September, so get your copy. Almost Holy. My niece is addicting mice to cocaine. The cause is science. The university is temple. So it's almost holy. Poor little buggers. Their tickers get to ticking, and pretty soon they dream that they are rats, that they can fly, that they are rats with wings, pigeons soaring over mouse and rat, the god of mice, of rats, of birds, until morning when they'll believe that they are dead. Then the true God comes in a cloud-like lab coat, the resurrection and the life. I used to dream I was a mouse, but I am only a flea upon a mouse's back. But sometimes the blood is so sweet, I feel I'm the uncle of light, riding bareback and holy through the temple. Zenos Paradox. You shoot the arrow and it goes halfway to the target, then halfway, and then halfway, so theoretically it never hits the target. Paradox. The hand that draws the bowstring has faith that the deer will die. The longbow bends, the arrow points, the deer stands frozen in the curious pose of prey before its doom. But Zeno suggests that once the arrow flies, it covers half the distance to the deer's heart first, then half the distance left, and half again, and again, and half again, so the deer will live and the arrow will never find its one true home. A woman's faith is different than a man's. She believes his strength is bowstring straight, his heart like longbow yew, flexible but taut. A man believes that he is not a beast until the string snaps, the tortured blow splinters, and his fist is arcing through the air toward the faithful face of the woman who believes. The hunter doesn't love the prey. He's filed the razor edge of the arrowhead himself, and even Zeno had to eat. Is there faith enough to believe in a universe where that fist still hangs in the half space in between, and now, a moment later, half again? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were three Jewish martyrs who were put in the oven to die, but they didn't die from the flames. Addiction. It was a miracle. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the way my father passed his hand through a candle's flame and never once got burned. A little black wisp of smoke, and he'd smile at me and say, "Do it fast, and the flame will never hurt you." Never much of a listener. All I heard was "do it and hurt." And Daddy, what do you do when you can't tell your fingers from the flame? Thank you. I have two more poems.
More.
This is called When Even Despair Ceases. We kiss each other's wrists, she wrote. Kisses that leave marks that make you wear long sleeves, even in July. When I don't understand it's suicide, she means. She's hurt, the way a child is hurt when her watercolor dragon is mistaken for a dog. Yes, it's a true story. No, I'm not going to hurt myself again. No, there's nothing for you to worry about except that you misunderstood my fucking poem. We talk then about words, how they collide, how meaning accrues, how kisses will always be kisses unless the context says otherwise. I know that I am right and say nothing. She knows that she is right and tells me again. This is context, I say. Like if I say right now, I just want to die. How in this well-lit cafe with Michael Bublé crooning the American songbook, my words mean something different than they did the night before, when the voice who sets up context in my skull kept making me believe it. I just want to die. How with the available means in the next room and a lifetime of meaning accruing behind me like a glacier, it's an unlikely miracle we're sitting here with that old black magic above us, disagreeing about the words that say dying is a kiss. We both turn a page and wonder at all that blankness, everything white, when even despair ceases, until we start dropping words like broken bits of glass, praying they'll cut like kisses, better wounded than misunderstood. Thank you. It's nice to read for such a crowd. I thank you for the applause and for the numbers. This is great. I think the last time I did a reading, Bob was the only person that showed up. So I'm glad you invited me to this. Last time I did a reading here in Philly. This is definitely a Philadelphia poem. I was walking down the Italian market, and there was a butcher shop there, and there was this skinned goat hanging face down with its little corn kernel teeth facing the sidewalk, and that inspired this poem. Now I'll close with this. To the flayed goat hung in a 9th Street butcher's window. A time will come when everything you've loved too, mouthfuls of sweet Timothy, the perfect wire barb that found the itch on your coarse hide every time, the sun on your gray back, small comfort now, will be gone. If I came back in an hour, you could be curried, stewed, or cut to chops. But for this moment, you're luckier than the pig next door, sawed through already from groin to rib. I carry these things, not offerings, just groceries. Quarter pound of chai, $3.50. Broccoli, $1 a bunch. Mangoes, avocados, pears, 3 for $1. I've brought these names, these prices, to spend a moment with you. Gaze upon your flesh, ruddy as papaya, sold 2 for $1 down this street, where everything is sold with luck, everything has value, flesh and fruit and cost and life and time. Thank you very much.